So we can take off or land at any of those locations. And I think that's what's going to differentiate us. That's what I mean when I say we're opening up a new skyway. We're opening up really the opportunity of folks to land and take off wherever they want, ultimately bringing the the holy grail of flight.
Welcome to Hangar X Studios, where former fighter pilot and host John Ramstead takes us on a journey across aerospace as it enters an historic period of innovation and transformation. Our guests include aviation experts, pilots, financiers, military leaders, and innovators of all types. Buckle up for another episode of Hangar X.
Today's episode is brought to you by our platinum sponsor, XTI Aerospace. They are powering the vertical economy, building a long-range VTOL, and you can find more at xtiaerospace.com. Now, please remember to like, comment, and share on this channel, and enjoy today's podcast. Welcome to the Hangar X Studios, and this is where innovators and investors and the future leaders of aerospace, as things are changing so rapidly across the entire vertical economy and air mobility, come to get the information before anybody else. And as you all often know, we highlight companies that are making big changes, making progress, or creating innovation that I believe is going to transform and accelerate what's happening and what we see as a movement happening right now. And so with that, I want to introduce a man who's become a friend of mine, Steve Zohabian. We call him the Z-Man. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, John. I'm glad to be here.
So Steve just joined XTI. So I got to read your bio because it's impressive, first of all. You just came from Piasecki Aircraft, who I have just tremendous respect for. They've done some incredible things. You were the chief operating officer. You transformed the company to become a premier next generation of VTOL. You led the acquisition of Lockheed Martin's Heliplex facility. You created critical infrastructure. There's so many things you did there. And you have experience at Boeing. You've been part of the V22, the Chinook. You're also one of the leading experts, I believe, in ducted fan technology that XTI is using. You led the acquisition of a number of facilities. Really, between Boeing and at Piasecki, you led a lot of transformation, both from an engineering and an executive leadership standpoint. And last week, Steve, we had Graham Warwick on, and one of the best journalists in the world. We all follow him. He's executive editor at Aviation Week. But we were talking about what are the realities, what are the pitfalls, what is the possible future, especially around the enabling technology, around advanced air mobility and electrification through regional air mobility, conventional, but longer range VTOL was a really exciting. But that's from his perspective, there is a lot of potential there. But your perspective, you've been hands-on, actually in the doing the engineering, building the companies. So I'd love to know about what is that transformation that you were able to accomplish, and what is that you're bringing into XTI that you're excited about?
Sure. Well, we did a lot of exciting things, and I'm going to walk us through the cookbook.
Okay.
So people's tools and processes. So what we did at Piasecki, we acquired the Heliplex. That was an excellent location. We co-located the right people. We put in place the right discipline and process, and then we tackled the hard problems. We grew the company. We grew the company significantly in a very quick amount of time, and that's what we're going to need at XTI. So that cookbook is going to be the same thing: people, tools, and processes. We're going to look in the next 90 days to plant the flag on the headquarters for XTI Aircraft, and then we're going to go from there. We're going to bring in the right people. We're going to make sure they're using the right tools. We're going to put in place the processes and the discipline that they need to design, build, and certify a aircraft.
Well, and do this. Will you share the story? You told me about the Frankenstein that you built. That's my word for it. But could you talk about that project and how you guys got incredibly creative in a very short period of time to actually look at a government mandate on a capability they were looking for? If you can talk about it.
Absolutely. I'll talk about it in the context of what was released. But ultimately, DARPA was looking for an aircraft that could go fast and take off vertically. The government called this program Sprint. Piasecki took this project and Well, we put together a plan and a team to go put together a concept that would turn into a demonstrator. We put together this concept in probably record time. We were given 6 months to pull together the who's who of industry, bring things together, and put together a plan to get that demonstrator flying. That Frankenstein concept is a testament to really the agility of what can be done.
Well, tell them what you created, because you started out with a Learjet.
Absolutely.
And what did you do to it?
So it's a Learjet that we put out that we went forward with a ducted fan, and we wanted that Learjet to take off vertically and hit the threshold and objective speeds that DARPA was looking for. And that was very different from what our competitors
But now
were doing.
to do that, what do you have to do with the wing?
We had to make it a high wing. We made a low wing into a high wing.
So you chopped off the wing.
We chopped off the wings. We put in ducted fans. I'd say you called it a Frankenstein. I called it a piece of art.
That's right. Well, you also threw in a maglev.
That's right.
Engine in the nose for stability.
We did. So you know more about our designs than most.
Well, I was just fascinated that they're like, okay, do this. You're like, okay, well, we don't have time to actually build this from scratch, so we're going to take a Lear. We're going to cut off the wings. We're going to put them up here. We're going to throw an engine up here. We're going to put ducted fans here, and bada bing, bada boom. And
very exciting. So that led.
That's a lot of engineering.
That's a lot of engineering. That's a lot of ingenuity. That takes a lot of experience to do well, and that takes a trusted supply base. Here at XTI, we're going to do just the same thing. We're going to you pick the right people, bring in a lot of ingenuity, and then bring in a trusted supply base that can build an aircraft and certify it.
Yeah, and go back a little bit. You said there was some, you had to take technology and push it to the edge. What are some of those things you were able to tackle at Piasecki? I know you have a lot of experience with ducted fans. There's a ducted fan in the XTI aircraft, the TriFan 600. But what are some other areas that you guys, like, some big problems, you're like, we can't solve this, but we actually figured it out? Do you have any stories like that?
Oh, absolutely. So the ducted fan work. So the company had been working on the ducted fan for decades, and what works well in analysis doesn't always come together quite how you'd expect.
Yeah, especially practically when you go fly it, right?
That's right.
Yep.
So when you try to break ground the first time, you're going to learn a lot, and you need to make sure you capture that learning. You need to make sure you incorporate it quick, and you need to make sure you have that agile team in place to go do that. So a lot with infrastructure, but very important to have the right people.
And you talked about agile. One of the things, just getting to know you, some of the traditional mindsets around, I guess, legacy engineering. You think of like the Boeings and Lockheed and Sikorsky's, which is very different than like a Joby or a Palantir or an Anduril. How would you describe that difference, and what are some of those things that you're going to be bringing in here that is going to accelerate the results you want to get?
I'd say you probably want to leapfrog technology. So you're gonna take some lessons learned, and you're gonna take a lot of money that was spent in learning those lessons, and you're gonna leapfrog. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a credible approach when it comes to certification. So that's exactly what we're doing here at XTI. We're going to go ahead and rapidly build a demonstrator that we're going to learn from. We're going to go ahead and pull in customer feedback that turns into our developmental aircraft configuration, and we're going to build that, certify that aircraft, and then take that to production.
So along that, now that's a lot. So is this is that your 90-day onboarding plan? Get all that done?
Hey, listen, the marketing team already has it flying, so after I saw it flying, it must be true.
That's right.
But no, that's a good point. The focus, for the next 24 months is going to be the prototype.
Okay.
I'd say the midterm focus is going to be certification, and the long-term focus is going to be production.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about. When I talk production, I'm talking we're going to build larger aircraft, we're going to have larger variants, we're going to have military variants, and we're going to go from there. But the initial focus is demonstrator and then certification.
And I know you're very familiar with the regulatory environment, right? Getting an airplane like this certified, and we get the new powered lift category. But when you think of what you're going to be building in the demonstrator, and I know a lot of companies in this space are struggling with this. How do I think about certification in keeping that in alignment with both the engineering design, what I need with the customer. Does that make sense? I mean, there's a lot to think about because every decision's a trade-off somewhere, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we're going to look at it as quality and safety. People are going to drive this, so we're gonna make sure we instill first-time quality. That's part of the values here at XTI, and we're also going to make sure that what we build is safe. The approach we're taking is going to be a disciplined one. It's going to be one that's well understood in aviation, and that's what we're going to use to bring the TriFan into existence.
Yeah, and say more about safety, because I know that this is a new aircraft for the public. This is something people are going to have to get used to. We all love the whole Jetson concept, but now actually stepping into an aircraft. What do you think some of the elements are of this entire design program that are going to not only make it the safest airplane, the most intelligent airplane out there, but be able to communicate that to the public that wants to use it?
So XTI has done some great things, and XTI has been doing them for a long time. One of the underpinnings was early engagement with the FAA. Mm-hmm. So we've done a lot of early engagement with the FAA. We've gotten feedback. We've supported working groups in pulling together these new requirements. There's a lot of change in unmanned air mobility and in CERT, and we want to pioneer the way through that. What I'd say we're using is proven systems. So our supply base is a proven supply base. The who's who of the aerospace industry is who's bringing us our components. The way we bring it together and test it, that's where the XTI team is bringing in key partners and our internal team to make sure that we do it in a way that is consistent with aviation products, manned aircraft. So we're bringing proven technologies together. We're bringing together a lot of new certification practices, and we're entering a era where we're going to enable the vertical skyway.
Well, I like that vertical skyway. In the whole, one of the value props here is, right, you don't need a runway anymore. Right? The eVTOLs, they need a lot of infrastructure to really get their business model off the ground. In this regional, from 100 to 1,000 miles, you get to use the existing infrastructure or anywhere a helicopter can land. We actually did some research on that for another podcast. We actually came up with about 500,000 places you could land, and there's 816 airports today that have commercial service. So think about that. That opens up a realm of possibility and a whole new story. And so when you kind of think about what this do, the story, let's kind of put on almost the capital markets hat for a second. As we're out there telling, the story, where does the story need to be enhanced, or what is the story in your words? Because you're going to be part of having to raise the money to build this demonstrator and get into production. And, XTI has done a great job of raising capital so far, but, it's a continuous process.
Excellent tee up for me. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So our aircraft is going to be able to take off conventionally. That means it can take off and land from all the airports you just mentioned. In addition to that, we're going to open ourselves up to being able to land at non-traditional airports or shorter runways. So we're going to be able to do shorter takeoff and landing distances. The real icing on the cake is that we can take off from any of these shorter runways or traditional runways, and we can also take off and land vertically when we need to. And that really opens it up to the anywhere category. So I'd say in the market, you have helicopters that can do the takeoff vertically. You have short takeoff and landing aircraft that can take off on short runways. And then you have traditional aircraft. The TriFan does all. So we can take off or land at any of those locations. And I think that's what's going to differentiate us. That's what I mean when I say we're opening up a new skyway. We're opening up really the opportunity of folks to land and take off wherever they want. Ultimately bringing the holy grail of flight.
Yeah, and when you actually think about that as a transformational, we talked about transformational innovation. And I think it's the combination of both the flexibility of rotorcraft and then the performance of a business aircraft. Where do you see like the cases, beyond, let's say, the high net worth person who wants this because it creates amazing convenience? But what are some of the larger business cases that you're seeing right now as you're digging into this?
We're looking very hard at the the short takeoff and landing market. We're taking a look at cargo logistics. We're taking a look at secondary dual-use military applications. But I'd say the ability for the aircraft to do multiple missions is really what opens it up. And then the ability for us to tailor the package on that aircraft is going to be what differentiates us from a jet or a traditional helicopter.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I agree with you on that. And as you look ahead now too, over the next 2 years, you've set a very aggressive goal of having a prototype demonstrator flying in 2 years. From your work in Boeing and Piasecki and what you know about what XTI is doing today, what are some of the biggest challenges you need to overcome first that are going to make some of the other engineering challenges maybe easier to tackle?
Absolutely. So funding is what drives all of this. So we're gonna put together a very credible story that and we're gonna use a supply base that's going to build confidence. It's going to build confidence in the investor. It's going to build confidence in the end user. That confidence is going to take away the concerns about funding. Once we have that out of the way, then we get into the real hard portions of aerospace, and that's what we're going to fix with people, tools, and process. And we're going to use that, and we're going to bring a very deliberate execution strategy to this, to execute the demonstrator, to go ahead and bring in lessons learned and customer feedback into our version 1 prototypes, and then we're going to go ahead and run through certain production. It's an aggressive schedule, but it's achievable.
Yeah, and from an engineering, and then you got to manufacture 1, 2, 3 of these for this. What do you foresee some of the challenges that you and the team get to solve? Because okay, that is exciting. It's been something we've been thinking about, but when we overcome it, that's gonna accelerate the program. Is there anything like that stands out?
We have plenty that stands out. So let me talk a little about what the team's going to be doing. And you mentioned 90 days. So we're going to spend the next 90 days, and we're going to go in and we're going to really take a look at the decisions we made to date. And we're going to bring in a team of folks to go ahead and take a look at those decisions and provide not just a non-advocate review, but get their hands in to fix the concerns or revisit the decisions very, very quickly. Once we do that, that's going to go ahead and that's going to establish our baseline. That baseline is what we're going to be executing to. It's going to be a baseline that's fixed, but it's a baseline that's going to have on-ramps where we can go ahead and incorporate feedback. And we're going to incorporate that feedback throughout the design process, affecting both the demonstrator aircraft and our certification aircraft. And we're going to go ahead and do that deliberately and transparently with the regulators. So we're going to bring the FAA in lockstep in with us, and that's going to lead to a cert plan that's achievable, which will lead to a production plan that's achievable. And we're going to have a lot of decisions along the way, like where we put things. In the first 90 days, we're going to locate XTI Aircraft's headquarters. After that, we're going to locate a team, and then we're going to execute. That's the exciting things to come. So I'm looking forward to telling you how that happened, that went.
Well, we'll have you back on in 90 days, and that's going to be fun. So everybody, please remember to subscribe to the Hangar X channel. And just mash that button. You're going to get notified of when anything comes up that's new. And we're coming out with some new services that I think are going to be huge for the industry, for you who are following this. So please also share this interview with a friend. And as we wrap up, Steve, I'd love to ask you just a personal questions. For you, I know your background at this point in your career, in your life. Why XTI and why now for you personally?
For me personally, XTI is gonna is on the cusp of taking advantage of all the innovation that's occurred to date. That's an exciting time to go ahead and bring this vertical platform, this vertical takeoff and lift platform that can fly like a jet. It's exciting. It's going to change how we fly. It's going to change how we think about aviation.
Change how we fly, change how we think about aviation. You know, I think it's also going to change how communities even interoperate and connect with each other, and how commerce is done. And yeah, I think this entire industry and where XTI fits in this is, we're going to look back 10 years from now and go, I can't believe how we even got along without this capability.
Well, thanks for having me, John. I'm very excited to be here. Can't wait to come back and tell you all the great news and great accomplishments from the team.
I can't wait to have you back too. Steve, keep knocking them alive, man.
Thanks, John.